St. Petersburg is one of the biggest and most fastest developing megapolises in Russia and Europe, perfect for doing business in. St. Petersburg today means constant development and aspiration to progress. St. Petersburg has remarkable professional and intellectual potential along with abundant innovation and industrial resources. St. Petersburg is the fourth largest city in Europe after Moscow, London and Istanbul. Its population over 5 million people. The number of gainfully employed population is more than half of the citizens, most of them with average and high income level. The unemployment level here is one of the lowest in Europe and Russia. The gross regional product is growing year on year. The industrial production index keeps growing. St. Petersburg is one of the largest transportation and logistics centers with a diversified economy that connects Central Russia, Europe and Scandinavian countries. Large highways connect it with such cities as Helsinki, Tallinn, Murmansk, Moscow and Minsk and create transcontinental transport corridors for fast deliveries of any cargoes. The maritime traffic is conducted through the biggest seaport in northwest Russia. Every year, more than 60 million tons of cargo are passed through the St. Petersburg cargo port, while the passenger terminal receives more than 500,000 passengers. Pulkovo International Airport is the fourth biggest airport in Russia, its acceptance rate being 18 million people a year. 68 airlines use the airport for their international and local flights on 151 destinations. St. Petersburg is the biggest railway junction in northwest Russia. It consists of 5 railway stations, railroad yards and port terminals with the 51.7 million tons a year cargo turnover. There's a high-speed railway communication with Moscow and Helsinki. You can get to these cities just in 3.5 hours. St. Petersburg is one of the centers of Russian foreign trade activity. It has business relations with more than 195 countries. The city has the biggest volume of import and export in the Northwestern Federal District. St. Petersburg is a cultural center of global importance with 6,807 objects of cultural heritage. Such institutions as the State Hermitage Museum, the Mariinsky Theater, the State Russian Museum, St. Isaac Cathedral are well known worldwide. The historical center and the landmarks of St. Petersburg are part of the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites. St. Petersburg tops the list of the most popular Russian and European cities, and in 2015 the city received the Europe's leading destination prize from the World Travel Awards. St. Petersburg is one of the biggest academic and educational centers in Russia, with more than 10% of the academic resources concentrated here. There are more than 307,000 students in the universities here. 45% of the human resources here have higher education. More than 750 big and medium-sized businesses form the basis of the industry of St. Petersburg. Some of them are among Russia's leading enterprises. More than 24,000 small businesses, including micro-businesses, engage in commercial industrial activities. St. Petersburg is home to the headquarters of major Russian and foreign companies. The city's industrial brands are well known on the international market. The Kirov plant, the Izhora plants, the power machines, shipbuilders, the Northern Shipyard, the Baltic Shipyard, the Admiralty Shipyard, etc. The St. Petersburg administration offers a wide scale of measures such as tax discrimination, subsidies, benefits, concessional lending, etc. to increase competitive advantage of the businesses, accelerate the development of the economic sectors and create technological innovations. The cluster approach is used in St. Petersburg. There are medical and pharmaceutical industry clusters, a car industry cluster, a shipbuilding cluster, a composite materials cluster, an IT technologies cluster, a machine tool cluster, etc. The Center of Cluster Development helps to build and develop aerial clusters. The Center of Input Substitution promotes the development production plans and implement capital investment projects. The Industrial Developmental Foundation provides the option of concessional lending. the prototyping center creates cutting-edge product samples. There is a special economic zone to stimulate investment and innovation activities in the industrial sector with 2 locations, Neudorf and Novoorlovskaya, St. Petersburg Technology Park, industrial parks and more than 50 industrial areas with a total space of more than 13,000 hectares. The Governor Investment, Industrial and Economical Councils help to build a direct connection with investors. The one-stop principle is the base of the communication between investors and the government authorities, which helps make the investment process comfortable. The investment climate in St. Petersburg is one of the best in Russia today. In recent years, the factories of world corporations such as Nissan, Toyota Motors, Hyundai Motors, Bosch and Siemens, Toshiba, May, Perfetti Van Melle, Chupa Chups, Pfizer, Coca-Cola, Pepsi Group, Unilever, Procter & Gamble and Heineken have been built or reconstructed. Klimov JSC, Almaz&Tay JSC, Novartis Neva and other factories have been put into operation. The project of the Federal Testing Facility of Rosety JSC is scheduled for implementation. The city has the best possible combination of high investment potential and low investment risk. The total volume of investments to the St. Petersburg's capital stock the current year is 521.3 billion rubles. The volume of direct foreign investments to the city's economy is $7.5 billion. Every year, there are business events, exhibitions and expositions aimed to assist the promotion of the product of the local factories to the foreign and domestic markets. Some of the major events are the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, St. Petersburg International Investment Forum, the Russian Industrialist Forum, and the International Maritime Defense Show. St. Petersburg is a world-renowned center of culture, sports, science and education. Here you can feel the pulse of the global politics and economy. You can touch the great history and make it with us. We welcome everyone who aspires to new heights in business and life. Invest in success. Invest in St. Petersburg.